everybody. This is part two, video two. So make sure if you're watching this first, go back and watch the first one, and then watch this one. This is where we left off. So as I was just mentioning to you guys, there was a series of wars and conflicts here in the Middle East. See all these countries that are kind of in blue over here. Again, these are the oil producers, guys. You had a bunch of these Arabic nations that were fighting against Israel, and Israel was a very close ally of ours. So because we had support of Israel, a lot of these Middle Eastern countries that had access to the oil, these are the oil producers of the world, they basically formed an alliance called OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. They called it OPEC for short. And because we were supporting Israel, they placed this embargo. They basically jacked up the oil prices, or in some cases refused to sell oil to the United States. So we had to dip into our reserves. So when there's a shortage of something, as we're guys, we're experiencing this right now. This is why gas prices right now are $4.30 a gallon. So very similar things. So because of our support for Israel, boom, OPEC is going to place an embargo on oil imports to the United States. So this is going to lead to gas shortages within the United States. So you see right here, guys, I mean, this is maybe a little more extreme than what we're used to. But you see literally gas stations running out of gas. So huge lines, people fighting for gas. We had no more to provide because of this embargo. Also, in some cases, to make sure that everybody at least had some kind of gas stations even rationed it off. You can only get 10 gallons of gas per customer per day. So huge problems. Again, when there's huge demand and there's a shortage, gas price is going to go way up. Also, you have to think about, too, in the 1970s, don't forget, a lot of the baby boomers now that were born in the late 1940s, 1950s, now they're going to become of driving age now. So now the population, what it was in 1940, 1950, where we had, yes, there were a lot of drivers, but because our population is going to double and we have a lot more drivers in the 1970s, this leads to a lot more demand. So think about, really the whole idea now of finding alternative fuel sources, guys, is going to start here. We realize that, man, we're at the mercy now of these Middle Eastern countries of OPEC. We need to find alternative fuels. So this is kind of where a lot of the research with nuclear energy, battery powered, solar powered, different types of things kind of came to fruition, and we need to find and also start drilling in our own country to become self-reliant. So this is where all this stuff starts. All right, so in 1978, Jimmy Carter is going to negotiate the Camp David peace accords between Egypt and Israel. So you see again right here what we just talked about in that last slide, or last couple slides. This is the Sinai Peninsula. Here's Egypt with the Suez Canal, and here's Israel. So this is a big deal where Egypt and Israel sign a peace agreement, an olive branch of peace. So this was a big deal for Jimmy Carter to broker this deal, to have a country that is an Arabic country make a deal with Israel. Kind of led to the right steps. Now, finally, there's going to be a video tomorrow that we're going to watch called Argo. It's came out, I don't know, within the past 10 or 15 years. It's really good. It's based on the Iran hostage crisis. So in the late 1970s, this is what happened, and it's kind of complicated, and it's not all on the slides, so you kind of ignore some of the writing on this. But long story short, this stemmed back from the 1950s. What happened was that the Americans, we helped support basically a coup. We helped place in a leader into Iran. And over the next 20 years, from 1950 to 1970, this leader that we place into power is not going to be a very good dude. He's going to not be an advocate for social rights and civil rights within his country. He's going to oppress a lot of people. He's going to spend a lot of money building these palaces and living the luxurious life where a lot of people, his own people, are going to be struggling and living in poverty. So long story short, let's fast forward. Late 1970s, there began this Iranian revolution, and they wanted to overthrow the Shah. You see up here, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. This is a guy who we supported. They want to overthrow him. So he's going to flee, and he's going to leave Iran. He's going to come to the United States. Now, at this point, he had cancer. And he's going to come to the United States for treatment and also to escape being arrested. And the Iranian people want the United States to bring him back to Iran so he can be put on trial, and more than likely he's going to be executed. And we refuse to do so. We refuse to send him back. So what happened was that at this point there was a huge outrage about the Americans not sorry, I got a fly right there. Not flying them back, and they ultimately there was this big protest riot within the American embassy in Iran, and ultimately they're going to break into our embassy, thousands and thousands of protesters, and they're going to capture American workers that are working at the embassy. So there are 52 Americans that were captured by this mob. You see the picture down here, and they're going to be held hostage for 444 days, so over a year. And in the time we're trying to negotiate, get them released, and they're not. So the movie Argo is going to be about that. And it'll show in the video, it'll highlight some of those things I just talked about. All right, so anyway, make sure you have this in your notes. Make sure tomorrow that you're good for the sub. Make sure you're sitting in your assigned seat. Please don't let me leave any of your names. Again, I'm not going to be here tomorrow. So anyway, have a good day, and I'll see you guys on Monday.